politics and more politics. Good morning to all of you at home. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's kick off with politics, as the crisis within the ADC, that's the African Democratic Congress, deepens. Old footage of the dramatis persona, in the imbroglio have started recirculating and trending on social media. An August 2025 interview with two-term House of Representatives member under ADC and self-proclaimed landlord of the party, Honorable Leke Abejide, is back on the front burner, as he declared that he would only back a coalition that supports President Bola Tinubu and that he will show the David Mark-led ADC Pepe. Take a look.
The national leader of ADC, who I am not, you will know.
But there's
and I want to promise you that
there's David Mark, there is Aregbesola, who is the national secretary.
We will send them back to where they came from.
You said David Mark and Aregbesola and Atiku, Amechi,
all of them together. We will send them back to where they came from.
They've taken over the party.
It's a lie. And I tell you, it's a lie. You will still coming back.
Ralph Umosu had handed over the party and some of the resigned and handed over to...
Is it done that way? See, according to our constitution, you cannot hold national office except you are 2 years in the party. You cannot hold national office. And there is no room for an interim.
All right, well, he went on to say there is no room for an interim leadership, apparently, according to the ADC's constitution. Well, Honorable Abejide said several things in that interview, including a statement that the intention of ADC was to work for President Tinubu in the upcoming election. Meanwhile, the ADC have gone to dig up a video of the unveiling event of David Mark and Ralph Aregbesola as interim leaders of the party that took place at the Shehu Musa Yar'Adua Center in Abuja. Amongst the list of prominent dignitaries in attendance included former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, ADC chieftain Peter Obi, and Senator Dino Melaye, was none other than Nephew Bala Gombe, who stood up to acknowledge as he was introduced.
Honorable Nephew Bala Gombe. Next is...
All right, unfortunately he was cropped out, but if you saw the wide shot of the gentleman sitting there next to Kenneth Okonkwo, he was 2 seats away, and when Loretta Onochie introduced him, he did stand up to acknowledge the introduction. So Nephew Bala has since confirmed that he indeed attended this event. However, he insists that his attendance did not mean consent to the appointment of the David Mark leadership. He's reported as having said, and I quote directly, "Contrary to expectations, the event took an unexpected turn when Chief Ralph Okenwosu, the then national chairman, was given the floor to deliver his welcoming address, and in a shocking move, he announced his resignation and proceeded to issue a membership card to Senator David Mark and Ralph Aregbesola and declared them acting national chairman and national secretary, respectively." Now, of course, this deepens the complexity of the crisis within the party, as it's clear that there's several conflicting interests at play. Let me start with you, Rufai, because now we've established 2 things. We've established that there is a faction of the ADC that declared their allegiance for President Tinubu. But we've also seen that that same faction is saying that their constitution was not respected in the handover of power. And then, of course, we have the NADC, as Abejide calls them, which is the coalition, who are saying that all processes have been done correctly. INEC was even an observer and acknowledged many of these processes. What do we make of this mess?
There used to be a famous comedian in the 90s in this country called Jaguar. That was his moniker, and he was famous for saying something. He would say, "Yam pepe scatter scatter, ishwata yoro yoro." What he meant was there was a state of pervasive confusion. Now let me go to the facts. Number one fact, Abejide said that the ADC constitution says that you must be a financial member for 2 years before you hold position. Yes, that was the position of the ADC constitution before. But I had an interview over the weekend on another platform with the chairman of ADC in Lagos that said that constitution was changed. And they would agree right there and then for that constitution to be changed. That's what the chairman...
Before? When was the constitution changed?
After
the
David Mark, before they made the ratification, and David Mark came in and they changed our constitution. That's what the chairman of ADC Lagos told me.
In Lagos.
As regards that, because I put forward that question. Number 2 point. Was Nafiu Balagombe privy? Did he agree to all of these arrangements? Based on empirical facts on ground, yes, he made. In fact, there was a resignation letter at his signature, but there's a comma on it because that's subject to court verifying that if that document was forged or not, because he's making that claim. All right? The third point I would like to bring forward, people like Abejide, yes, did they say they wanted to work with President Tinubu in the past? Yes, they said they wanted to work with President Tinubu in the past. And they had their own interests until this happened. Because don't forget, Vimbai, it was SDP that they wanted to use at first. And they see that the SDP didn't work, ADC came into frame. And they were able to couple ADC together for these people until all of this started. And once they saw that they could get an agreement of some sort, the problem started. In fact, Kachiku is saying that there's another faction, there's another problem. So I would not even say they are faction. I would not even say they are just one faction. There's the Kachiku's part too that we don't talk about a lot. So we can safely say that's another faction apart from Nafiu Balagombe. All right? So that's another part to it. Abejide, yes, he said what he said. It might be part of things funneling around, the Nafiu Balagombe argument and all of that. The third point is the role INEC plays in all of this. INEC has not crowned itself in glory. Vimbai, did I struggle to understand the definition of status quo antebellum by a professor of law in Nigeria when the INEC chairman was speaking? Yes, I struggled. And I challenged it right on the air. And it was not only me that challenged it. Osaze Uzi also pretty much echoed the things I had in my mind that I reiterated that day as regards the argument. Is INEC saying the best way to go about this is to ensure that they don't have correspondence with them because they are afraid that if the court case might not rule in their favor? I also challenge INEC on that because it's not for INEC to say. You are supposed to be able to get all their details. Let the court decide. Why is INEC jumping? Why is INEC jumping? And that's the question that a lot of people are asking.
Yes.
So for all of those, and I just hope they don't shoot me. For all of those that argue that you can't, that when they say that the country is slipping into a one-party state, and they say, oh no, you don't know what you're talking about. Again, if you say ADC caused their own problem, Vimbai, how about the PDP? That Wike have taken over the party now is not telling you that he doesn't think anybody has the capacity to run presidential elections under the PDP.
Yeah.
It pretty much, and when people make comparisons, the other day Peter made a comparison with Abacha. People were up in arms. I'm like, why are we so hypocritical in this country? Exactly what they're trying to do now is what Abacha did.
Okay, well,
because Vimbai, hang on a minute, Abacha pretty much tried to get every political party to endorse him. If the PDP has endorsed, what's it called? The ADC is almost an implosion, there's no opposition there. APGA has endorsed President Tinubu. The list goes on and on. Every political party might as well endorse him. What's the difference, I ask you, Vimbai, between that and what Abacha did that time?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway here is when we look at the president and we look at the events leading up to where we are now, there's so many moving parts. And I think there's enough blame to go around where this issue is concerned. So we'll continue to watch it as it unravels, and I think a lot of us are going to be focusing on the judiciary for now, because the outcome of this must be seen to be expeditious. So it should be quick, and it should also be free and fair. So we continue to wait for that outcome.